Faces and Fishes. Rose and her best friend, Lily, liked to walk to the lake and stare into its green waters. In the morning, when there was no wind and the sun rose on the opposite side, coming up over the mountain, they could see their reflections as if the lake were a mirror. Rose's round face next to Lily's oval face. Both had big eyes that flashed brightly out of the dark background. While staring at themselves one morning, a strange thing happened. Noticing that while they saw their reflections, they could also see through the surface to what swam beneath it. It was as if they were seeing into their heads rather than into the water. And there, within their heads, green and gold-scaled fishes swam. Studying one particularly large fish, Lily thought maybe it was a perch, Rose thought it a sunny. They held their breath just as the fish stuck its mouth out of the water, puckering. It was staring at them, its face now piercing the reflected face of Lily, now of Rose. It seemed to be moving back and forth, as if trying on the reflected faces like masks, eventually settling on the oval face of Lily. "Its lips are moving," said Rose. "I think it has something to say, this Lilyfish." Lily looked at her friend, then back into the eyes of the fish in her reflected face. "It's not a lilyfish. It's just a fish. Or maybe a perch fish. Or, if you insist, a sunny. Who even heard of a lilyfish? I don't look like a fish, do I?" As Rose looked from one to the other, Lily to Lilyfish, she realized that her friend was wrong. Lily did look like a fish. Her lips pursed, her face shaped as if to swim smoothly through the water, blowing out bubbles. "You could say I looked like a flower, like my name, bent over the water, floating on the water. A water lily, even if my skin is dark, but not a fish. You know, if anyone's got a fish face, it's you, Rose." "Me? But even the sunny feels more comfortable in your face. It recognizes itself. You are its reflection, just as it is yours. Do you notice? He is staring at you even now." It was then the strange thing happened. The fish spoke. At first, it was just air, a small croak, and then it was a letter, which turned into a word, which turned into a line of words, one word after the other, a sentence with verbs and nouns and adjectives and prepositions and conjunctions, and, at the end, a question mark. "No," said Rose, telling the story later to Mrs. Green, who was in her garden at the side of her house, the one between Rose's house and Lily's house. She was correcting Lily. "No, not a question mark. It was an exclamation point. The girls had just finished third grade and had begun to learn the rules of grammar, the most boring subject in the world. And yet they both found it fun to say the words they'd learned. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? You know that Saturday morning cartoon commercial teaching grammar. It was on TV in those days. Grammar was in the air and in the water. Mrs. Green was smiling, glad to hear the girls chirping away like sparrows about what they'd learned, while she worked at her garden, filled with flowers and trees, and bushes, and ornamental rocks, and a metal sign that was black with yellow letters that said Chipmunk Crossing. She had lilies, of course, that grew wild by the fence, and she had a great bush of roses tied to a trellis at the back of the house. Go say hi to yourselves, she used to like to say to the girls. And the girls would run to their namesakes, each girl sniffing at the flowers. Hello, Lily, said Lily, crouching by a white flower with a pink flourish up its middle. Hello, Rose, watch those thorns of yours, said Rose. But tell me, said Mrs. Green, question of punctuation aside, what did the fish say? Rose looked at Lily, Lily looked at Rose, and as one looked at the other, it appeared as if the fish was peeking out, as if they'd become their reflections, leaving their real faces on the lake. He said, Rose, then Lily interrupted. She said. Yes, right, Lily's right, she said Rose. Yes, said Mrs. Green. She said that faces are places, said Lily. And places are spaces, said Rose. And now the girls together, where fishes can stick out their nose, where fishes can stick out their nose.